Before you scroll, before you assume you already know what this is about, listen to this carefully, because if you've ever wondered whether a man is actually sexually attracted to you, not politely interested, not friendly, not passing time, but genuinely drawn to you in a way that affects him, this may completely change how you see men forever. What if I told you that the clearest sign of his desire has nothing to do with flirting, compliments, late night texts, or how fast he replies? What if the strongest signal happens in moments so quiet you've probably ignored them your entire life? Most women are taught to look for noise, effort, words, pursuit, and because of that, they miss the truth hiding in plain sight. They chase clarity while attraction is already forming. They push when desire is still building, and without realizing it, they collapse something that could have grown naturally. Here's the uncomfortable reality: men rarely reveal sexual attraction the way you expect. In fact, when it's real, when it's deep, when it actually matters to him, it often looks like the opposite of what dating advice tells you to watch for. It shows up in what he controls, not what he expresses, in what he holds back, not what he gives away, in how he behaves when he thinks you're watching, and especially when he thinks you're not. If you've ever felt confused by a man who seemed different around you but never said the words, if you've ever wondered why some men lean in slowly while others rush and disappear, if you've ever questioned your intuition and thought, maybe I'm imagining this, stay with me until the end. Because once you understand what you're about to hear, you will never misread a man's attraction again, and you'll stop chasing what's already leaning toward you. When a man is sexually attracted to you, the biggest mistake people make is assuming that attraction looks loud. They think it shows up as bold flirting, obvious compliments, or reckless pursuit. But real desire doesn't announce itself like that. Real desire tightens a man, not loosens him. It sharpens him. It makes him aware of himself in a way he isn't around people who don't matter to him. Here's the psychological truth: indifference is relaxed. Attraction is alert. When a man feels sexual attraction, his nervous system switches on. Suddenly, he's present. He's conscious of how he sits, how he stands, how close he is to you. He notices the way he speaks. He notices how long he holds eye contact. He becomes aware of his timing. This isn't confidence showing off. This is self-regulation. It's restraint. And restraint is one of the most reliable indicators that something real is happening. Think about it this way. When you don't care how you're perceived, you're loose. You say whatever comes to mind. You move without thinking. You're unfiltered. But the moment someone's opinion matters, you begin to edit. You pause before you speak. You choose your words more carefully. You become intentional. That's not insecurity. That's investment. A man who feels sexual attraction doesn't want to shatter the image you're forming of him. He wants to rise in it. So you'll notice small but meaningful shifts. His posture straightens. His movements slow down or become more deliberate. His voice might drop slightly, not because he's trying to be impressive, but because he's grounding himself. Desire pulls him into his body. He becomes contained. And that containment is tension. This is where many women misread the situation. They interpret restraint as disinterest. They think, if he really wanted me, he'd do more. But attraction doesn't always push a man forward. Sometimes it makes him hold his ground. Sometimes it makes him wait, because the stakes feel higher. Another sign of this self-control is that he doesn't rush the moment. He allows silence. He doesn't fill every gap with noise. He lets conversations breathe. Silence isn't emptiness here. It's loaded. His mind is active. He's processing, he's feeling, and he's measuring his actions against how they might land with you. Why does this matter? Because desire makes a man careful. Careful not to overstep, careful not to be misread, careful not to ruin the connection before it has a chance to deepen. And here's something that might surprise you. Men don't become reckless around women they want. They become reckless around women they don't fear losing. When a man slows down around you, when he becomes measured, when he seems more intentional than usual, it's not a lack of attraction. It's often the opposite. You'll also notice that his attention narrows. When you're in the room, he's more focused. He listens differently, not just to reply, but to understand. He remembers small details, not because he's making an effort to impress, but because his mind is naturally prioritizing you. Attraction reorganizes attention. This is why chasing clarity too early can be destructive. The moment you try to force attraction into words, you pull it out of its natural environment. Desire grows in space. It needs room to expand. Pressure collapses it. When you demand certainty before it has had time to solidify, you interrupt the very process that creates depth. Your power in this moment isn't in extracting a confession. It's in remaining grounded, relaxed, present. When you stay calm, when you don't rush, when you allow the energy to exist without needing to control it, you give attraction the conditions it needs to grow. And here's the philosophical layer beneath all of this. Attraction is not about performance. It's about presence. A man doesn't feel desire because you're trying to get it out of him. He feels it because something about your energy invites him to step into himself, to be more aware, more intentional, more alive. When you understand this, you stop confusing attention with attraction. Attention can be loud and empty. Attraction is quiet and focused. Attention seeks reaction. Attraction seeks connection. So if a man seems more controlled around you, more aware, more deliberate, don't rush to label it. Don't diminish it by assuming it's nothing. And don't sabotage it by demanding more than the moment is ready to give. Let it build. Because the deepest form of desire doesn't show itself in what a man does impulsively. It reveals itself in what he restrains, in what he holds back, and in how carefully he shows up when he knows that this moment and this woman actually matter. And the final thought to leave you with is this: when you learn to recognize restraint as attraction, you stop chasing validation and start allowing desire to come to you. When a man is sexually attracted to you, one of the most revealing things that happens is also one of the most invisible. It's not what he says, it's not even what he consciously does. It's what his body and nervous system begin to do without his permission. He starts to align with you quietly, instinctively, almost involuntarily. This is where attraction moves from something performative into something biological. Human beings are wired to sync with what they desire. We mirror what we want to feel closer to. And when a man is sexually attracted to you, his system begins to calibrate itself around yours. Your energy becomes a reference point. You'll notice it first in rhythm. The pace of the conversation shifts. If you slow down, he slows down. If your voice softens, his follows. If you become playful, his tone loosens. If you become serious, he meets you there. This isn't strategy. This isn't manipulation. This is attunement. And attunement only happens when someone matters. Here's why this is important. When someone doesn't care, they stay in their own frame, their own tempo, their own emotional lane. They don't adjust. They don't tune in. They don't feel the need to. But attraction pulls a man out of autopilot. It makes him responsive, receptive, aware of the emotional climate between you. This is why you might feel around certain men like conversation flows effortlessly, like you're being met instead of managed, like there's a subtle harmony in how you interact. That harmony is not coincidence. It's chemistry expressing itself through alignment. Another place this shows up is in physical mirroring. He leans when you lean. He shifts when you shift. He turns toward you without thinking. His body orients itself in your direction, even in group settings. His feet point toward you, his shoulders open. His attention follows your movement across a room. These are not conscious decisions. They are reflexes. And the reason this matters is because reflexes don't lie. A man can lie with words. He can perform confidence. He can imitate charm. But he cannot fake where his nervous system wants to be. When his body keeps turning toward you, when his focus keeps returning to you, that's desire revealing itself before logic can interfere. There's also emotional mirroring. When you react to something, he reacts with you. If you laugh, he laughs more freely. If something moves you, it moves him too. Your emotional responses start to matter to him. He's not just observing you, he's experiencing things through you. This is one of the deepest signs of attraction because it signals empathy mixed with desire. He's not just drawn to how you look, he's drawn to how you experience the world. And here's where many women unintentionally break this connection. They override their natural energy. They perform, they push, they speed up, they try to keep him interested. In doing so, they disrupt the very rhythm that was pulling him closer. Attraction thrives on authenticity. Mirroring only works when there's something real to mirror. Your job is not to lead him or follow him. It's to stay rooted in yourself. When you do that, he adjusts, he aligns. He follows your emotional cues because his system wants to stay connected to yours. This is also why emotional stability is so magnetic. When you're grounded, when you're present, when you're not jumping ahead or collapsing inward, you create a steady signal. And a man who is attracted to you will naturally sink to that steadiness. He'll feel calmer around you. More focused, more himself. That's not an accident. That's regulation through connection. Another subtle sign of this alignment is how he listens, not waiting for his turn to speak, not planning his next line, but actually absorbing what you're saying. He remembers small details, he brings things up later, he connects dots. This is not effortful memorization. This is prioritization. His mind is tagging you as important. Attraction reorganizes attention. And this is why forcing clarity too early can feel jarring. When you demand definitions before alignment has had time to deepen, you pull him out of instinct and into analysis. You move him from feeling into thinking, and desire lives in feeling. Space allows alignment to strengthen. Pressure fractures it. The paradox here is that the less you try to control attraction, the more room you give it to grow. When you allow the connection to breathe, when you trust the signals instead of interrogating them, you let his unconscious continue doing what it's already doing, moving closer. And here's the philosophical truth beneath all of this. Attraction is not something you extract from someone. It's something you invite by being fully present in yourself. When you are aligned with who you are, others who are drawn to you will align with you too. So if a man mirrors you, matches you, tunes into you, and adjusts himself around you, don't dismiss it, don't rush it, and don't try to control it. Let alignment do its work. Because when someone's body, emotions, and attention begin moving in rhythm with yours, desire is already speaking. And the most powerful response is not to chase it, but to stay steady enough for it to come closer. When a man is sexually attracted to you, there is a shift that goes deeper than body language, deeper than mirroring, deeper even than restraint. It shows up in something far more revealing. He begins to care about the version of himself that exists in your mind. Your perception of him starts to matter. And the moment that happens, his behavior changes in ways that are subtle but powerful. This is where attraction moves from instinct into meaning. A man who feels nothing will be unfiltered. He'll say whatever. He'll joke recklessly. He'll overshare or underthink his words. He'll show up as he is in that moment without concern for how he lands, because there's no emotional risk, no internal consequence. But when desire is present, something very different happens. He edits himself, not in a fake way, in an intentional way. He becomes more thoughtful with his words. He chooses what to reveal and what to hold back. He pays attention to how his actions might be interpreted by you. He wants to be seen clearly and favorably, not because he's insecure, but because your opinion has weight. This is one of the most misunderstood signals of attraction. Many people mistake it for guardedness or emotional distance. They think, if he really liked me, he'd be more open. But openness without care is not intimacy, it's impulsiveness. True attraction creates discernment. When a man desires you, he doesn't want to cheapen the connection by being careless. You'll see this in the way he responds to your reactions. If something he says lands well, he remembers it. If something misses, he adjusts, not dramatically. Quietly, he calibrates. He learns the emotional landscape of being with you because he wants to navigate it well. That calibration is investment. Another sign is that he starts to show you his strengths, not by boasting, but by demonstrating. He becomes more grounded, more composed, more reliable, not because he's trying to impress you in a loud way, but because attraction activates a desire to rise. To meet a standard he feels in your presence, even if you've never spoken it out loud. This is the difference between attention and attraction. Attention wants reaction. Attraction wants respect. A man seeking attention wants to be noticed. A man who is attracted wants to be valued. So he protects the image you have of him. He doesn't want to disappoint you. He doesn't want to appear weak, erratic, or unserious. And that doesn't mean he's pretending to be someone else. It means he's choosing which parts of himself to bring forward first. This is where many women unintentionally sabotage attraction. They push for emotional exposure before safety has been established. They confuse vulnerability with depth. They want him to reveal everything immediately without recognizing that restraint is often a sign of respect. Depth unfolds, it's not dumped. When you pressure a man to reveal more than he's ready to, you don't accelerate intimacy, you interrupt trust. And trust is what allows attraction to mature into something lasting. There's also something important happening internally. When a man cares about how you see him, he starts to imagine a future version of himself in your life. Even unconsciously, he begins to ask himself, who do I need to be in this dynamic? And that question alone signals desire. Indifference asks nothing of a man. Attraction asks him to become more. This is why you might notice that he becomes more consistent around you, more intentional with his time, more present when he's with you. Consistency is not a tactic. It's a byproduct of caring about impact. And here's the crucial part. The more you try to extract reassurance in this phase, the more you undermine the very process that's unfolding. Because the moment you make his attraction about soothing your anxiety, you shift the focus away from connection and into management. Attraction thrives when it's allowed to breathe. Your strength here is not in questioning him, testing him, or pushing him to define something too soon. Your strength is in staying anchored in your own sense of worth. When you don't need him to prove his desire verbally, you allow his behavior to speak. And behavior over time is far more honest than words. When you remain calm, grounded, and self-respecting, you create a space where his desire can deepen without pressure. And in that space, he doesn't feel cornered, he feels invited. This is the paradox of attraction. The more you trust yourself, the safer it becomes for him to move toward you. So if a man is careful with you, if he's thoughtful, if he seems invested in how you see him, don't rush to label it or demand clarity. recognize it for what it is. He is showing you in the most honest way he knows how that you matter. And the final thought to leave you with is this: when someone protects the way they show up around you, it's because they don't want to lose the chance to be seen by you. Respect that energy, don't rush it, and let your own steadiness be the reason it grows into something real.